everybody, it's Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus from Threshold of Hineni, and I'm back to do some more Frankenpaper. I know I've done a lot of videos on Frankenpaper, but they get buried, and so they're harder to find, and I think that this is such an important part of junk journaling that I just want to make sure that I always have a current Frankenpaper video. So that's what we're going to do today. And if you already know how to do it or you don't want to watch, then feel free to skip this. Or, if you just want to craft along with me and chat, we can do that too. Anyway, this is mostly pastel stuff, and it's from a bunch of different journals because I just had leftovers that weren't enough to make more Frankenpaper after I had made some Frankenpaper, so I just kind of threw it all in together. And I have bits of lace and yarn and cardboard and all kinds of stuff in here. I even have like some notes that I tore up to put in here so that we have some writing. It's just, Frankenpaper is a great way to use up your scraps. Okay, so I had two pieces that I could use for, sewing on. I think I'm going to use this one this time, and I can use that other one a different time. But the nice thing about this, okay, first of all, this is a paper that didn't print out well. You can see I was running out of some ink, so it got stripes in it. So this makes a nice background to sew on, because if there are any blank spaces that are left in between things, I don't have to worry about it because there's something back here. And I might even intentionally leave like these roses or something. Oh, the other thing that happened was it skipped. I don't know why it did that. That's so funny, isn't it? So anyway, and then on the back I had some stuff that I was printing and it got ink all over it and stuff. So it's just, it's not going to work for me to use it, but it'd be great for a background for Frankenpaper. And you can use just a plain white piece of paper, but since I have so many like misprints and stuff, I always figure that that's the best thing to use. So this is a little bit heavier. In fact, this is cardstock actually. I usually use just regular paper, but cardstock is absolutely fine. And another thing that I wanted to say is that of my scraps, some of them are also cardstock, and then some are like heavier paper, and some are really thin paper. And it doesn't matter. You can mix all those things together. It's totally fine. The other thing is that if you have pieces that have little white edges on them, don't worry about that because you can overlap something else over those to cover them up. So you don't have to tear everything if you don't want to take the time to do that. So what I do when I start out, this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, by the way. You could use any size you want. Sometimes I even just make it in strips so that I have like a bunch for the edges of paper or for belly bands, but you can make those from a large piece too, because once you make your Frankenpaper, you can cut it up into anything that you want. You can make tags and all kinds of fun stuff with it. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I start out with the biggest pieces that I have. Here's another piece that was misprinted. It didn't get printed all the way down, so I'm going to use that on there. I have this green. I have this, which isn't a huge piece of paper, but it's kind of bright, so I'm going to want to cover a lot of that. I have this that's from one of my paintings. Here's some more of that large paper. So that's probably going to be enough to cover this. And like I said, I don't have to cover all of it because I've got this design on it. But I'm just going to start out. Now I do want to have one edge that's not too, doesn't have too much white on it. So let's go ahead and we can tear this edge a little bit more. It's okay that it has those little white edges because they're going to get inked at the end. So I'm putting this up in the corner here. What I'm going to do first is do my whole edge around the whole paper. I'm not going to sew on the edge of the paper because I'll do that at the very end. So I'm just going to sew right through the center of this. I'm going to put it on zigzag. I'm going to sew right through the center just to hold the paper in place. I'm not really doing much other than just basting it in place. In fact, I don't even sew all the way down that whole piece of paper. You probably can't see my stitching because it's not really a contrasting color, but I stitched from here to here. That's all that I did. Okay, there's nothing scientific about it. I just kind of make it up as I go. So here's another piece, and I'm going to put this over here. Let's see, on this edge, so that I don't have the white parts sticking out. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that down. Basically what I'm trying to do right now is just cover the paper. And like I said, I don't have to do that super thoroughly because I do have a design on the edge, on the paper itself. so I don't need to cover it up. Oh, I did end up covering up those roses, didn't I? I want to keep some of those roses out, so I'm going to tear away some of this that we can still see the roses there. And so I'll take this and I'll put it up here. Okay, and I'm just going to sew that in place. It just is a lot easier if you get the edges taken care of first. Don't have to do it that way. That's just my way of doing it. Lately, well, I'll tell you, in an ideal world, which we all know it's not an ideal world, but in an ideal world, I would make Frankenpaper at some point while I'm working on a journal so that I can use the Frankenpaper that I make. I can use it for belly bands and maybe a couple pockets, and then I can use the rest for journaling cards. Okay, and then when I'm done making the journal, I would very faithfully make Frankenpaper from all of the rest of my leftover scraps. And that's how I've done it quite a bit. And then I clean up after that. And I've done that quite a bit, but lately, well, really since Bill died, I have so much on my plate, because I have to do everything in the house myself. And so a lot of times, the Frankenpaper just doesn't get made. And so I have so many of these little bins of paper now. I could probably spend about 40 hours, no kidding, making Frankenpaper. And I might do that one of these days because I really enjoy making it. It's very relaxing to me. It's not something that you have to put a lot of thought into. I'm not really thinking as I put stuff down. I'm thinking a little bit more because I'm telling you, what my strategy is. But, most of the time I just kind of put stuff down and I don't worry too much about it. Now this piece is curling up because it's been in there for quite a while, so I'm going to sew both sides down. Plus it's got straight edges. I'm going to want to cover those probably with something that's not so straight. Okay. And then here's a little part of one of my paintings. Let's go ahead and stick this in here. And I'm not worried about this white edge here because I can just put something over that at some point. And again, this is kind of curled too, so I think I'm not going to sew all the way around it, but at least enough to just keep it down. Keep it held down. Okay. So anyway, yeah, so that would be my ideal world, would be to always clear out the scraps before I start a new project, but that's just really not what happens these days. I feel like I'm in confession or something. I don't even clean up at the end of making a journal right now because I'm so busy. I have journal orders and I have a book that I'm trying to finish writing, and and then just taking care of the animals and everything else. I'm kind of overwhelmed. I'm not complaining because most of that is good stuff. That it's not good that I don't have Bill, but I'm very, very thankful for journal orders, and I'm thankful that I get to write and everything. So, it's all good, but I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed in my craft room. It's gotten really out of hand, and I just need to take some time and clean up and make Frankenpaper like I'm doing right now. Okay, now I prefer not to do this like at 90-degree angles, so I'm going to turn it a little bit here. I have a lot of scraps that have straight edges on them for some reason. I don't usually have much of that, so it's kind of weird. Okay, and let's put some more of this green right here. Actually, let's move it up here some. Okay, I'm not worried about the white from the tearing because I'm going to ink around the whole edge of the whole paper when I'm done, so that's not a problem. That will suck up the ink really nicely. Okay, what else do I have that's kind of big? Oh, I have this piece of a hem. Okay, I don't want to cover all of that rose. This is kind of nice. This was from Penny Whittemore's Vintage Yellow Digikit. Oh, I loved that kit. Had so much fun with it. Okay, so see how I'm using the big pieces to just kind of cover up the paper. And that's especially important if you just use a piece of plain white paper. Uh-oh, my bobbin thread is running out. Okay. Let's see how far I can get with what's left on the bobbin. It's going to be beeping a lot because of that. But let's see if we can at least get this covered, and then I'll turn off the camera to take care of the bobbin and start up another video. It's going to take more than one video anyway, because it takes, you know, at least an hour to make a piece of Frankenpaper that's this big. Okay, there we go. That's a nice piece to put on the edge. And I think I'll go ahead and sew down that green edge there. So I'll just sew those at the same time. It's not going to let me get very far. Okay, we've got most of it covered. Let's see. Here's a piece where I had written some notes. Oh, that's got sticky stuff on it, so I don't want to do that side, but I'll do this side over here. And let's see here. Where can I put it? What if we just put it right here? I'll probably put something over the part that's just the plain pink, because that's not very interesting. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera, and I'll see you in the next video. We should be able to get the whole rest of the piece of Frankenpaper done in the next video. I love you all. Bye-bye.